Good afternoon, football fans, and welcome back to CFRC at the Lang Season 2. Brand new set, same great football content. And I am joined today by a very special guest and a first-time repeat profile. Quarterback number 12, Alex Vreeken, Kingston's own, veteran leader. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Now, this is a little break from our normal format. For the folks at home, if you've never seen this show before, we like to focus on starting off with the recruiting journey to Queens. But we've already covered that ground last summer, so if you haven't already, I recommend you go back and check this one out. So today we want to make this more present-focused with an eye on the 2026 season as well. And 2025, obviously a fantastic year for the program, culminating with a Yates Cup victory. But I think for a lot of our longtime fans, they were really struck by the offensive versatility and especially the emphasis on the passing game in 2025. Can you talk a bit about some of the offensive scheme changes and the impact that had on how the offense worked?
Yeah, for sure. I think Coach Nesbitt, big testament to him, just putting a ton of hours with Coach Snyder and just kind of developing our pass game, changing the way we read a lot of concepts and just introducing new concepts. And then massive shout out to the offensive line. We had like incredible protection last year, as good as we've ever had, with obviously some pretty special guys up there. And then just the receiving core was also really special. We had a lot of guys that could adjust on the fly. We could change stuff from week to week. And then the backs and protection were really good too. And obviously guys like Jared and Ethan Dahl and Zay Adams, like they can catch the ball out of the backfield as well and add to the pass game. So it's kind of a big cumulative effort with that.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you mentioned that because we saw a ton of those really key check down routes to your running backs, including obviously a very massive one in the Yates Cup to Jared Kasari. How does that make you feel as a quarterback to know that you have so many quote-unquote bailout options, whether it be running backs, Mateo Tuioti as an H-back? You've got a lot of safe pairs of hands to work with. So how does that impact how you play the game on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I think it just means that you don't have to force things. Like if the defense does a good job of covering stuff down, you don't necessarily have to throw the ball over the first down marker. If you can just be a point guard like in basketball and distribute to your playmakers, then they can make plays once they have the ball in their hands because they're special athletes. So,
and some very special athletes. On that note, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about one of the most special athletes this program has ever seen, number 71 in the tricolor, now doing big things south of the border. Can you talk a bit about Nick Hennig's development and what your thoughts are seeing him at the Raiders training camp?
Yeah, it's awesome. I remember when Nick came in as like it was summer practices and he shows up and I'm thinking, wow, this guy's in like third or fourth year as when I was a first year. We're walking up to the parking lot. I'm like, oh, like you a third year or something like that? He's like, oh no, I'm a first year. And he's talking in his deep voice. But yeah, super happy for him. Obviously like incredible H-back and all that. And then just the change to offensive line kind of was perfect and was just a dominant force. And he's right where he belongs, I think.
I would agree. It's been really cool to watch that development from raw and kind of green H-back to still got a long way to go, of course, still young in his offensive line career, but the real deal, genuine product. Something I want to touch on that myself and my colleague Don Lewis noticed about your game in particular in 2025, and I know you've been doing a lot of kind of off-season training and additional training sessions around that, is implementing different arm, angle, and throw mechanics into your game. How did that come about, and what kind of difference has that made to what you can do on the field?
Yeah, I think I work with a quarterback trainer out of Montreal. His name's Miles Gibbons, and he pretty much has a quarterback at every single program. So the combination of mechanics with him and then also just like really doing a ton of drill work with Coach Snyder and then also at the East-West Bowl and then with the Red Blacks last year. I think I just had a better base and better footwork, and it just allowed me to kind of manipulate arm angles better. So yeah, it's just a combination of a bunch of stuff. And then when you're comfortable in an offensive scheme, you can also just kind of play more free a little bit. So it was a little bit all of that.
Okay, very good. This is all stuff that clearly I wasn't no quarterback, so getting this inside intel is very helpful. I do want to talk a little bit. You touched on some of your experience with the Red Blacks, and in early 2026, you had the chance to go to a CFL regional combine. Can you tell me a bit about your combine experience in 2026?
Yeah, super cool experience. It was cool just to be back in that kind of environment where like it's very similar to the East-West Bowl, where everyone's just kind of chasing pro football and everyone has the same mindset. And then the prep was obviously great. Coach Taggart did a bunch of stuff with us, kind of with the drills, and then it's also just fun to be with the group that we had, like John, Steven, Sil, and Pace was out of town training. But yeah, it was a really good time. And then the combine was a ton of fun. Kind of nice to get the drill work done and all the testing, and then just get to play football and throw the ball to some guys that I've thrown the ball to for a while, with Silverson there, and he made some pretty special plays. So yeah, it was a great experience. And I'm super grateful for the opportunity.
And just to kind of close off, you talked about some of the guys you've been throwing footballs to for a while. This is a really very veteran receiving group in 2026. We've talked about it in the past in other channels, but a lot of these guys were kind of pressed into service pretty early on due to some injury woes. But this is a great group, and to me, number one, Cedric Smith. He had an incredible playoff run. He looked great at the East-West Bowl. They couldn't tackle him. Can you just give me a breakdown on some of the key receivers in particular, and what you're looking forward to from them in this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think we definitely have a special group, pretty loaded at the slot position, like kind of Queens always is. Obviously, like you said, Cedric, just special athlete. Russ is going to be incredible this year. I think he had an amazing spring camp, and it's just like a super high IQ football player that's pretty athletic. And then got like one of the Loudons is coming up, and like he also looks really good. And then the wideout position is super competitive too. Obviously, Logan had a great year, Jack had a great year, Ben Falkowski looks really good, and a bunch of other guys. And then obviously 87's pretty good too. So yeah, it's a special group, and I think there's some young guys that are gonna make a big scene in the OUA, and excited to get to throw the ball to them.
That's got me excited. As we close out, we still got a ways before the season starts, especially the home opener, September 12th. We always like to ask, because every year this team gets better, the games get more exciting, and the atmosphere gets more electric at Richardson. For the few non-believers still left out there, why do people need to come to a Queens football game in 2026?
I mean, I grew up in Kingston, and like, what else are you going to do on a weekend, on a Saturday? Obviously, the waterfront's great and all that, but I mean, you can come to Richardson and be with, 8,000 of your closest friends and watch a really good football team play really high-level football. So I don't know, that's where I would be. It's where I'm going to be. And yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to just kind of continue to just build more and more of a fan base and keep giving back to the fans we already have, because they're the best in the country.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. And on that cheerful note, we will wrap things up for today. Thank you, fine folks, for joining us. Alex, thank you for your time as always. We'll see you again real soon.